हेलो स्टूडेंट्स। आज हम शुरू करने जा रहे हैं क्लास 8 की सिविक्स का चैप्टर नंबर 1 एंड द नेम ऑफ द चैप्टर इज इंडियन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन। In this chapter we are going to understand the importance of constitution for any country and we have special focus in context of India. So before we start this chapter, let me ask you a very simple question. Have you played the game of Ludo? Obviously, the answer is yes. You must have played this game with your friends and your family members. And if you play this game, then definitely you know all the rules and regulations related to this game. How this game starts, what number you require on your dice to open your टोकन जिसको हम लोकल लैंग्वेज में गिटी बोलते हैं, एंड हाउ यू हैव टू कंप्लीट अ full circle and finally you reach to your destination. That means you all know about the rules of this game of Ludo. My next question related to the game of cricket. I know that most of the students they like this game. So when we play cricket, that means we must be aware of all the rules like bowler or batsman or over or the different ways we can make a batsman out. So we all well aware of this game also. And then the game of football. Even in football we know that it is a game which is played by foot and we cannot use the hand. If we will use the hand, then that will be considered a foul. We have, while playing the game, we cannot push another players. If we do so, then referee would definitely show us different cards and finally the red card. So when we are playing different types of game, in every games we must require some rules and regulations according to which we have to play that game. Now think of a situation. If you are playing a game and there are no rules and regulations and the players do not know anything about those rules, then you cannot play any game. Am I right or not? Obviously I'm right. So अगर हम गेम्स को लेकर रूल्स एंड रेगुलेशन की बात करते हैं गेम्स को प्रॉपर स्मूथ करने के लिए, तो इट इज वेरी ऑब्वियस दैट इफ वी आर रनिंग आवर कंट्री, if we want to run our country in a proper manner, then we also require some rules and regulations. So finally we are now reaching to our chapter and the name of the topic is the Indian Constitution. तो अब आपको एक हिंट मिल गया कि इंडियन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन इज टेलिंग यू अबाउट द नीड ऑफ द कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन and how our constitution helps us, just like any game which we play, to run our country in a organized manner. Clear? So let's begin. So now the very first page of your chapter ask a question: why does a country need a constitution? Why the constitution is important for any country, and what are the important contents which you are going to read and understand in this chapter? First of all, the constitution and its definition. Then why do we need the constitution, the need of it. Then the history of constitution of India, how this constitution process, the making of Indian constitution, how it started, how it was framed bit by bit. And then you are going to understand in the end the important provisions or important arrangements made in our constitution, the most important one. So the first thing first, that is, what is a constitution? So a constitution is a set of rules and regulations according to which the country runs. Just similarly, the games, in the games, the rules and regulations of the game run the game smoothly and in organized manner without any partiality. In the same way, the constitution is a set of different rules and regulations which help us to run our country in a smooth manner, and at the same time constitution is those set of rules and regulations which are accepted by all the citizens together. So after the definition, let's move to the next part, that is, why does a country need a constitution? So why there is a need of constitution? Let's try to understand. So the first point explains that constitution creates the feeling of trust among the citizen. As in any country, the people belong to different communities, different religions, different backgrounds, they live together. So that is obviously they want some basic rules and regulations which they all agree upon. So if they agree upon on all the rules and regulations and that are mentioned in one particular book of constitution, then it will create the feeling of trust among the citizen. Second one, the division of power, that is also mentioned in the constitution. Constitution describes how power is divided between the different organs of the government as well as at the different levels of the government like central government, state government or local government. The third point is, if we want to run our country in a smooth manner, then certainly there must be some rules and regulations. And in these rules and regulations, they are in the form of constitution exists, so the country runs smoothly. And the fourth point that explains about the fundamental rights. Every constitution provides some fundamental or basic rights to its citizen so that they can make overall growth in their life. The citizen, they make all round development in their life because of these fundamental rights. And the last point is, constitution also keeps a check on the power of the government. So the rules and regulations mentioned in constitution even apply on government also. So it keeps a check on the government also. And to understand it further, you can even go through this statement made by Patrick Henry, who says the constitution is not an instrument for the government to restrain the powers of the people or restrain the people, but it is an instrument for the people to restrain the powers of government. So that is the beauty of constitution. And even through this image also you can understand how constitution that provides the power to the people to control their leaders. So that is the constitution and importance of constitution or need of constitution. Now we have the example of Nepal. So in Nepal, due to the struggle of Nepali people, finally constitutional monarchy started in Nepal in 1990, where the monarch had some limited powers and the real power was used by the Parliament of Nepal. But in 2005, King Gyanendra of Nepal tried to take over all the powers of parliament in his hand. He dismissed the parliament and took all the powers. And he even tried to dominate the people. But the Nepali people, they came on roads. They even surrounded the palace of King Gyanendra in Kathmandu, and finally King Gyanendra had to surrender in 2005 struggle. That was the people's struggle of Nepal. And after that, all the parties of Nepal, they sat together and started drafting the constitution of Nepal. Unfortunately, they took a very long time and their constitution finally completed in 2015. So almost 10 years they take to draft the constitution of Nepal. So you can understand through the example of Nepal how every democratic country needs a constitution. So now let's start the story of making of Indian constitution. So the Constitution of India was made by an assembly which was called Constituent Assembly. So this Constituent Assembly was formed in December 1946 after the cabinet mission came to India. So the end of the Second World War was a clear signal to the Britishers to leave our country. And before leaving, they wanted our leaders to make the constitution for our country. For that purpose, elections were held for Constituent Assembly. What is this Constituent Assembly? Constituent Assembly was that assembly which had the responsibility to make the constitution for India. So elections were held of Constituent Assembly, and the after election first meeting of this Constituent Assembly was held in 1946 on 9th of December 1946. So the total Constituent Assembly members, they kept changing, because when this Constituent Assembly's elections took place, at that time partition was not there. But unfortunately, India and Pakistan, after the partition, two countries were created. So obviously our Constituent Assembly was also divided, क्योंकि Constituent Assembly 9th of December 1946 से स्टार्ट होती है, जबकि हमारा पार्टीशन जो है उसके 9 months के बाद हो जाता है. 14th of August 1947 Pakistan was created, and then the very next day India was also there as a nation. So our Constituent Assembly included all the great leaders who became the members of Constituent Assembly. Just like this image is showing, the first president of the Constituent Assembly, Mr. Sachidanand Sinha, who was the temporary president of Constituent Assembly, then Dr. Rajendra Prasad, who became the president, and then Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, who was the chairman of drafting committee. So he drafted the constitution along with his other 8 members. So drafting means he wrote down, he collected all the articles, all the provisions related to our constitution. He studied the different constitutions of the world, and whatever his team felt good for India, they adopted all those provisions in Indian constitution. That is why he is also considered as the father of Indian constitution. So all these leaders worked together, sat together, and then clause by clause they discussed each and everything before adding those provisions in our constitution. So a long details discussions took place, which took place for about 2 years, 11 months and 18 days. That was the time period when you are going to calculate it. Total 114 days they had spent together, and finally when everything was decided, then finally on 26th of November 1949 this constitution was adopted by the Constituent Assembly, that now this is the final draft of Indian constitution. And in our constitution we had adopted various kinds of provisions from different constitutions of the world. Just this slide is showing, we had taken the parliamentary system from Britain, from the British constitution. Prime Minister as the head, that was also taken from Britain. Then Bill of Rights from USA we had taken and converted it into fundamental rights, and similarly the different provisions were taken under different constitutions after a proper study. So now we are moving to the last part, that is the key features of Indian Constitution. So the first key feature of Indian Constitution is the federal system. So what is a federal system, or what is federalism? So federalism is a system in which there are the arrangement of 2 levels of government. One is the central government, which works for the entire country, and the another one is the state government or governments which work for the particular states. So just like India, where central government is there which is running the entire country, and the different states have the different state governments, and there is a division of power between the central government and state governments, where some powers are given to the central government and some powers are given to the state governments. So now we move to the next part, the second feature, that is parliamentary form of government. So India has the parliamentary form of government. Now what is the meaning of parliamentary form of government? It means we choose our parliament, and through the parliament we choose our prime minister. So in a parliamentary form of government, prime minister is the most powerful position. Just like in India, all the powers lie with prime minister and not with the president. So the third feature of constitution is the separation of powers. So in our constitution, there is a clear cut separation of power between the different organs of the government, and there are three organs of the government. These are legislature, executive, and judiciary. And all these three organs, they do their work independently without interfering in the work of one another. So legislature, that is parliament, which has two houses, Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. Executive, in the name of president, the power is used by prime minister and his cabinet. And then the judicial system or judiciary. So now we move to the fourth feature of our constitution, that is fundamental rights. So like all the other constitutions, our Indian constitution also provides 6 fundamental rights to its citizens, which is very basic, very important for their life. And these are: number 1, right to equality, then right to freedom, then right against exploitation, then fourth one, right to freedom of religion, fifth one, cultural and educational rights, and last one is the right to constitutional remedies. So first we start with our first fundamental right, that is right to equality. So this right to equality has been included from Article 14 to Article 18. And under this right to equality, what kind of equality we have been provided? First one, we all are equal before the law, no matter we belongs to which religion, no matter we are male or female, or we are rich or poor. Then under Article 15, there is a equality to access all the public places. Then Article 16 states that in the government jobs, there will be no discrimination and all are equal as far as the government jobs are concerned. Then Article 17, that abolishes the practice of untouchability and declares it as a punishable crime. And then Article 18 states that no titles will be given to any citizen apart from the titles which have been already reserved by the government, like Bharat Ratna. So now we move to the second fundamental right, that is right to freedom. So these 6 kinds of freedoms have been provided to us under Article 19, that is right to freedom of speech and expression. That means we can freely express our ideas and our thoughts. Then we can freely assemble at any place without any arms to show our protest or do other activities. Then we are also free to make any union, any political party or any association. Then we can move freely in any part of the country and nobody can stop us for doing so. Then the fifth kind of freedom is we can reside or settle down in any part of the country. If I want to settle in Himachal Pradesh, I can do so. Or if I want to settle in Tamil Nadu, I can do so. And then the last type of freedom is we have been given the choice to choose any profession of our choice. So another types of freedoms have been also mentioned, like under Article 20, protection in respect of conviction. If you are convicted, then certain kinds of protection have been provided to you. Then under Article 21, protection of life and personal liberty. Then Article 21 का A part आपको RTE right to education provide करता है. Then Article 22 provides you the freedom and protection against the arrest and detention in certain cases. It means even an arrested person have been given certain kinds of freedom, like he can consult to his lawyer. He has to be present before the magistrate within the 24 hours of his arrest. Next fundamental right is the right against exploitation. So Article 23 states that the trafficking of human beings, that means selling, purchasing of human beings, is prohibited, and if any person is found doing so, then he will be sent to the jail. Then article 24 also prohibits the employment of children in hazardous work like factories. So below 14 years of age of children cannot be employed in different kinds of jobs, and more particularly in hazardous kinds of jobs. The next fundamental right provides us the freedom of religion. That means India is a secular country, and all the citizens living in India are free to profess, practice, and propagate any religion of their choice. If the people want to change their religion, they can do so, but nobody will force any person living in India to change his or her religion. So certain kinds of freedom have been provided to the citizen, and the people, they can follow or they can worship their gods or goddesses the way they want to do so. All kinds of these religious freedoms are provided under this freedom of religion. Now we are moving to the next fundamental right, that is cultural and educational right. So in this cultural and educational right, the Indian citizen have been given this freedom that they can protect their language, their culture, or their script which is related to, associated to their culture or their religion. So they have been provided this right. And then the next one is, no citizen shall be denied or restricted admission in any educational institutions which is maintained by the state or which is run by the government, or which is aided or helped by the government, which is getting the help from the state's fund. Then the last fundamental right, and in fact the most important fundamental right, is right to constitutional remedies. And you can understand how important it is that even Dr. B.R. Ambedkar considered this last fundamental right as the heart and soul of our constitution. So in this right of constitutional remedies, if people and their fundamental rights are violated in any way, then with the help of this particular fundamental right, they can approach to the judiciary, they can directly go to the High Court or Supreme Court to restore their rights. Now the fifth feature of our constitution, that is secularism. So in the preamble of our constitution, it has been clearly stated that India is a secular country. So what is secularism? Secularism is a concept where all the religions in a state are treated equally, and all the people, they are treated equally without any discrimination on the basis of religion. So with this, we have completed our chapter. I hope you have understood everything. Thanks for your patience and watching the video. Have a nice day.